Please wait until your aircraft is ready.
Welcome. I'm Vulture, and I'll be your instructor for this lesson. Today you will learn the starter procedure for the F-4E Phantom II, focusing on WSO tasks. We are cold and dark, and we will accomplish these procedures: before electrical power, after electrical power, and interior check. Before starting engines and starting engines. INS full gyrocompass alignment, and before taxi. I will then brief you for the following procedures: taxiing, before takeoff, and after runway lineup. Takeoff and after takeoff. After that briefing, I will do a normal takeoff while you act as my WSO. Before we start, please read the section Notes and Specials on that page. Okay, let's begin with the before electrical power procedure for the WSO. During this, you will check that the most important controls are set to off, safe, or normal before you apply external power. In cooperation with the crew chief, a few controls have been set to incorrect positions for training purposes. Therefore, you have to carefully check. First, put your helmet on. It's located on the right canopy rail. Okay. Now check all systems and controls carefully according to the following procedure. The related controls in the cockpit are highlighted for better recognition, which will be removed one after the other once you've set them correctly. Meanwhile, I'll perform the before interior check. My throttle levers are fully apt in the off position. Confirm that yours are also off by pressing spacebar, then continue on your own. Regarding the circuit breaker panels, you can assume that all CBs are pressed in and working, because in DCS, in the rear cockpit, none are clickable. Regarding the check of publications and flight data, generally speaking, you can check the
Task 1. Before electrical power procedure complete.
Very good. I did my checks already, therefore I will use hand signals to ask the crew chief to connect external power. Okay, ground power is now connected. I'm setting both generator switches to external on in order to supply the electric buses. Okay, the buses should be supplied by external power now. You can tell that external power is on by the landing gear indicators in your cockpit. They should now show 3 wheel symbols. Confirm this by pressing spacebar. Let's perform the after electrical power procedure for the WSO. With the ground power already connected, this procedure basically prepares the aircraft for the INS alignment. First, on the right wall of your cockpit, set the instrument ground power switch up to the test position. This enables external electrical power for the aircraft instruments. Good. Now, rotate the navigation computer function selector knob. Now you can rotate the INS power control knob to standby with the right. For this lesson, we will skip the wind counters. Just to let you know, with these 2 knobs, you can manually set the wind velocity in knots and direction for the... Next, check the variation counter display. which shows the magnetic variation for your map area. You may use the magenta-colored compass rose on the F10 map to check if the currently shown value is correct. If you need to change that value, depress and rotate the knob located just right of the display. Note, any change must be done before the INS alignment is started when the INS knob is set to align. Confirm your settings by pressing spacebar. Check that the position update switch is set to normal, the middle position. This makes the position counter. Next, check the position counter display, which shows the present aircraft position. You may use the F10 map again to compare the longitude and latitude values with the real aircraft position. If you need to change the values, now we will use the target counters to enter two turn points called Target 1 and Target 2. Target 1 will be Kobyletty Airfield, and Target 2 will be Vaziani Airfield. Be careful when following my instructions. It's important to avoid setting the NAVCOM function selector to the position off. Okay, we'll start with Target 2. Rotate the NAVCOM function selector to Target 2, 2 right clicks, and use the latitude and longitude knobs to set the coordinates of Vaziani, which is north 4138, east 4502. Confirm your settings by pressing spacebar. Rotate the NAVCOM function selector to reset. Good. Now rotate the NAVCOM function selector back to standby with 3 left clicks. Now we will set Target 1. Rotate the NAVCOM function selector to Target 1, right click, and use the latitude and longitude knobs to set the coordinates for Kobyletty, which is north 4156, east 4152. Leave the NAVCOM function selector in position Target 1 from here on. Confirm your settings by pressing spacebar. Good. The final step of this procedure is to prepare for the briefed INS alignment method. Generally speaking, 2.5.
Task 2. After electrical power procedure completed.
Good. While the INS is warming up, we will perform the interior check procedure for the WSO. This procedure prepares the cockpit for the flight and configures all systems accordingly. The idea is, before starting the engines, to test all mission-critical systems, but then turn them off again in order to avoid power transient when switching from external power to the generators. If any system doesn't work during the test, first, adjust your seat height by using the switch on the right bottom of the seat. Next, let's take care of the communication control panel and the TACAN control panel. Regarding comms, we will use preset channel 5. Turn the comms channel control knob to show channel 5. Furthermore, make sure the mode select. Also, turn the volume knob fully up. Finally, turn the function selection knob to position TR plus G. And then let me... Kobyletty Tower, Dodge 11, ready for engine start. Radio check on 262.00.
Dodge 11, Kobyletty Tower, read you 5. Hey Vulture, nice to hear you. You're doing instructor work for some diehards, do you?
Kobyletty Tower, Dodge 11 reads you 5 by. Hey Walter, you old nest dweller. Nice to hear you too. You're probably just waiting to screw somebody over again, eh?
Don't let your students screw it up, then it won't be you, man. You are cleared for startup either way.
Okay, back to work. Leave the UHF comms on. Power transients could indeed be an issue. Let's move to the TACAN panel. Turn the TACAN volume knob fully up. Make sure the TACAN function selector knob is in the off position because power transients during engine start may damage the TACAN. Good. Now look at the green comms command light. Currently yours is extinguished, which means that I have comms command. For training purposes, the principle for nav command is exactly the same as for comms command. Generally speaking, the WSO takes it because navigation turn both the VORILS and make sure the emergency slats flaps handle is in the forward position. This ensures that I have full control of slats and flaps. Note, next, let's take care of the intercom control panel in the forward section of the left console. Find it and give me a spacebar when you are ready. First, turn the volume control fully up. Then, check if the amplifier select knob is set to position norm. And finally, make sure the function selector switch is set to the hot mic position. This enables proper communications with... Next, check that the emergency gear handle and the emergency brake handles, check that the slats flaps position indicators show the corresponding indications before we continue with instrumentation. Make sure that the yellow-black striped canopy emergency jettison handle is placed forward. Good, now let's move to instrumentation. First, check the radar scope and also the cover. You will find a wing scope. Next, check and set the attitude indicator. For this, rotate the indicator's pitch trim knob to check the travel for at least -10 to +5 degrees, and then set the horizon bar level with the fixed miniature. The next step is to wind and set the clock. In DCS, it is automatically set to the current time in the mission. Remember, in the Phantom, the clock is used in several situations, such as INS alignment, navigation, etc. So make sure you are familiar with this. Reset the accelerometer by pressing the knob on the instrument. All three needles should reset to show about 1G. If not already done as part of heating the INS, set the nav comp function selector knob to stand. Confirm that the canopy manual unlock handle is placed forward. Good. In the right console AV section, set the cockpit internal lights as required. Use the floodlight switch, the instrument panel lights control knob, the console light control knob, the standby compass light switch, the console floodlight switch, and the indexer lights control knob. Confirm your settings by pressing spacebar. Now perform a test of the warning and indicator lights by using the warning light test switch. It requires you to check the function of the master caution light, the canopy unlock warning light, the inertial nav sys out caution light, and the radar CNI cool off caution light. The next step requires you to check the intercom system, which is already set up. Since you can't hear me...
ICS comms check, how do you read?
Read you loud and clear. Good, let's carry on. Now change over to the left console, aft section. On the oxygen quantity gauge, check if sufficient oxygen is available for the intended flight, using the diagram below. The planned flight duration will be about an hour at about 20,000 feet. Change to the left sub-panel and configure the oxygen system as required. This will include the oxygen. Finally, let's check the radar warning receiver. Turn it on with the power button at the lower right corner of the ALR-46 control panel. Wait until the startup checks, the blinking lights on the RWR panel stop blinking, which takes about a minute after power up, then press the system test button for the self-test. The tests are accompanied with a sequence of oil tones and visual indications on the RWR indicator just right of the panel. The test was successful if you hear 5 short consecutive audio tones and the indicator showing the small green lines in the middle with one of them blinking. Once the test is complete, turn the RWR back off by pressing the power button again.
Task 3. Interior check procedure completed.
Okay, the INS is already warmed up. Before starting the alignment, we will prepare the aircraft for engine start. Okay, seat pins are removed and stowed. Confirm yours are removed and stowed also. Fore and aft area. Receiving a thumbs up from the crew chief, therefore we're clear. Fire guard, okay. Checking to the right. Guard is ready for the show. Throttles, both my throttles are off. Confirm that yours...
Task 4. Before starting engines procedure complete.
Okay, since everything is set up and in a safe condition, I will start the engines. I'll report important steps in between. Your task is to monitor the progress and watch out for any deviations or safety issues.
I am ready for engine start.
Okay, connecting the air supply to the right engine.
Connected it on the right.
Engine master switches are on. And airflow on right.
Done.
RPM, ignition is on. Advancing right throttle. Positive light off, ignition off. RPM, airflow stop. Checking parameters. EGT, fuel flow, idle RPM, boost pump pressure, oil pressure, hydraulic pressure. Everything is looking good. Okay, right engine stabilized. Turning on the right generator. Bus ties closed. Doing the spoiler ready check.
Okay. Partial deflection. Retracted.
Spoiler check completed. Okay, now the left engine. Connecting air supply.
Connected left.
And airflow on the left.
Yep, done.
RPM, ignition on the left. Advancing the left throttle. Positive light off, ignition off. 45% RPM, airflow stop. Checking parameters. EGT, fuel flow, idle RPM, boost pump pressure, oil pressure, hydraulic pressure. Everything is looking good. Left engine is stabilized. Turning on the left generator. Doing the spoiler ready check.
Okay, partial deflection. Retracted.
Spoiler check completed. Cycling the right generator. Okay, the bus tie is closed. On internal power now. Disconnect external air.
Roger. Yes, sir. Disconnected.
And and disconnecting external power.
External power disconnected.
Looking good. Task 5, starting engines, procedures complete. Now it's time to align the INS, which is covered in the INS full gyrocompass alignment procedure for the WSO. The initiating call from the pilot is typically clear to align after having cycled the right generator. Good. The next step is to check the heat light. If it's still illuminated steady, the warm-up is not yet. Okay, now turn the INS power knob to the aligned position with a right click. Good. The INS starts aligning. This process will take about 6 minutes. Meanwhile, we will step into the next procedure. The green align light will illuminate steady. Good. While the INS is aligning, we will turn our focus to getting the aircraft ready to taxi, which is covered in the before taxi procedure for the WSO, focusing on important tasks only. Remember, once the green align light starts to flash, turn the INS power knob to the nav position with a right click. Since we have turned off the nav equipment during the interior check, it's time to get them back online. Therefore, make sure the comms function selection knob is still in PR+G. Turn on the TACAN receiver by turning the TACAN function selection knob to T/R. Turn on the RWR by pressing the power button. And make sure that you have nav command and that I have comms command. Confirm your settings by pressing spacebar. The next step is to power up and stow the target designator, which is mounted on station number 4. Move the flight control stick a bit to the side, or hide it, and look at the target designator control panel. There you will see all the lights already illuminated, and also a red digit, which indicates. Next, power up the radar by turning the radar power knob to standby. Also, turn the DSCG mode knob to standby. Good. Now set the navigation computer function selection knob to target 1. The last step is to set and check the altimeters. The detailed check according to the flight manual consists of 10 sub-steps, which must be done together by both pilots. For DCS, we use an abbreviated procedure. First, set the QNH by turning the altimeter setting knob on the lower left corner to show 2984. Okay, I am now resetting the SPC. Okay, now we'll give you the SPC reset call. Following this call, reset your altimeter with a switch on the lower right corner. Good. Now we compare the indicated altitude of our instruments to make sure there are no significant deviations.
Task 7, before taxi procedure completed, INS pending.
Good. Before we can taxi to the point from where we can take off, we have to make sure that the INS is aligned, which might take some more time. There's no way around this. Meanwhile, I will brief you for the upcoming procedures, which are taxiing, before takeoff, after runway lineup, takeoff, and after takeoff. Good. The next steps for the taxiing procedures are check the flight instruments while taxiing. For example, call out lead right, maul left, heading increasing, etc. during taxi turns to confirm that your flight instruments are working correctly. Set the oxygen diluter normal 100% as required. Regarding the before takeoff procedure, the WSO would normally read it out to the pilot to confirm everything is ready to go. This is usually done just before calling power for clearance to enter the runway. The pilot usually has done all the work by then, so he can just confirm it. The steps for the WSO are close the canopies, both together, and check the red canopy unlock warning light goes out. Set the ejection command selector as briefed. For our flight, set it vertically, which means eject WSO only if an ejection is initiated from the rear seat. Regarding the after runway lineup procedure, the WSO would read it to the pilot, and the pilot would confirm all the steps. The only step for the WSO is to check that all the circuit breakers are still pressed in. For the takeoff procedure, there's only one important call-out required by the WSO. When reaching 80 knots, inform the pilot that the airspeed indicator is working, usually by calling out airspeed off the peg 80 knots at the appropriate time. For the after takeoff and climb procedure, two important callouts are required by the WSO. Gear up by looking at the landing gear indicators showing 3 up indications, and slats and flaps in and up by looking at the slats flap indicators showing in and up indications. Let's wait for the INS. There's no way around.
Okay, the INS is now in nav mode. You're cleared to prime and sync.
Roger that. Selecting prime and sync. Now I will perform a normal takeoff. Your job is to detect important events and provide me with the correct callouts during takeoff and climb, which are 80 knots, gear is up, slats and flaps are in and up. I am asking the crew chief to remove the wheel chocks.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Chalk's
wheel
out.
chocks are removed.
You're all set? Looking good? Have a good flight?
Ready tower, Dodge
And
11 lined up
disconnect.
runway 07, ready for departure.
Dodge 11, Takeoff Tower. Cleared takeoff runway 07 for unrestricted climb. Wind 070 at 05 knots.
Copy, cleared for takeoff, runway 07, unrestricted climb, wind checked, Dodge 11. Setting the takeoff pitch trim. Okay, takeoff pitch trim is set. Wheel brakes on. Set engine RPM to 85%. Engine RPM set at 85%. I'm checking the engine parameters. Parameters are good. Let's go. Setting takeoff power. Takeoff power is set.
80 knots.
Roger that. Flaps are up.
Gear and flaps are up.
Roger that. Passing flight level 200, level off. Setting cruise power. Well done. This concludes this lesson.